to fight me.
But I've always wanted to.
Whenever we think of superheroes, we picture icons of hope, justice, and moral strength. But every now and then, even the brightest capes cast the darkest shadows. So let's flip the script with 22 of the most shocking times our favourite heroes went rogue on screen.
You were never even a man. Don't, I'm sorry.
We're starting with what happens when Superman's classic origin story gets a complete horror movie makeover. Brandon Breyer starts off as your typical farm kid with loving adoptive parents, but here's the kicker. He's actually an alien with a mission that makes world domination look like a casual weekend hobby. As Brandon hits puberty, he doesn't just get acne and voice cracks like the rest of us mere mortals. No, this kid gets heat vision, super strength, and a spaceship that basically serves as his personal evil life coach.
Brandon, please, stop, don't hurt me, okay?
The ship starts whispering sweet nothings about conquering Earth, and Brandon's response is basically, you know what, that sounds way better than homework. One minute he's helping his mom with household chores, the next he's, well, let's just say his adoptive parents probably wish they'd stuck with a goldfish instead of adopting a super-powered alien child.
Sorry. Oh, Brandon.
Adrian Veidt, also known as Ozymandias, proves that sometimes the smartest person in the room is also the most dangerous. This guy literally has World's Smartest Man as his unofficial title. And he uses that incredible brain power to cook up a plan so twisted it makes regular villain schemes look like children's games. Ozymandias decides that the only way to achieve lasting world peace is to unite humanity against a common external threat. Sounds pretty noble, right? Well, here's the catch. He's willing to sacrifice millions of innocent lives to make it happen. His master plan involves framing Dr. Manhattan for a devastating attack that kills thousands, all in the name of preventing nuclear war. And the most disturbing part, his logic is actually completely sound. By creating a fake external threat, he successfully ends the Cold War and brings nations together. John Walker thought he was getting the opportunity of a lifetime when he was officially handed Captain America's shield. Instead, he got a front row seat to his very own public psychological breakdown, complete with worldwide humiliation and a very messy moral collapse.
What's with all the knives?
Walker starts off as the seemingly perfect soldier, decorated, disciplined, and genuinely determined to honor Steve Rogers' legacy. But here's the thing about intense pressure. It either creates beautiful diamonds or causes spectacular explosions. In Walker's case, it was definitely the latter. After watching his best friend Lamar get killed by the Flag Smashers, Walker's moral compass doesn't just break, it completely shatters into a million pieces. The moment that shocked audiences worldwide was when Walker used Captain America's shield, the ultimate symbol of justice and protection, to brutally execute a flag smasher in broad daylight.
It wasn't me! It wasn't me!
You were never a god.
You were never even a man.
Bruce Wayne has always walked an incredibly thin line between hero and vigilante, but in Batman vs Superman, he doesn't just cross that line, he pole vaults over it while wearing a kryptonite-powered jetpack. After witnessing the massive destruction in Metropolis, Batman becomes convinced that Superman represents an existential threat to humanity. Now, this isn't your typical let's talk it out over coffee kind of disagreement. Batman goes full paranoid mode, complete with extensive surveillance, advanced weapons development, and a concrete plan to straight up murder the Man of Steel. The guy literally brands criminals like cattle, which is about as far from heroic as you can get. Superman is incredibly powerful, and in the wrong hands, that power could be absolutely catastrophic. But Batman's solution? Preemptive murder? Shows just how far fear can push even the most principled heroes into moral darkness.
Stop! Please, stop!
Why did you say that name?
It's his mother's name! It's his mother's name.
Death has a funny way of changing people, and apparently that includes Kryptonian demigods with godlike powers. When the Justice League decides to resurrect Superman using the Mother Box, they probably expected him to wake up with a smile and a cheerful, "Thanks for bringing me back, guys." Instead, they got a confused, angry alien with the power to level entire cities. He's alive again, yeah, but vibes? Gone. Morals? Deleted. Who? All he knows is that he's surrounded by complete strangers who feel like immediate threats, and his first instinct is to eliminate those threats with extreme prejudice. The League finds himself in the incredibly awkward position of having to fight the very person they risked everything to save. Without his memories and emotional connections, Superman is essentially just a weapon of mass destruction with a cape.
Nemesis Prime.
I will fight anyone who stands in my way.
Even robots with advanced AI aren't immune to the allure of the dark side, as Optimus Prime demonstrates when he gets a hostile makeover courtesy of his creator, Quintessa. The leader of the Autobots, known throughout the galaxy for his unwavering moral compass and inspirational leadership, becomes Nemesis Prime. And let me tell you, the name change is definitely the least of everyone's problems.
I will kill you!
Under Quintessa's influence, Optimus Prime abandons absolutely everything he stood for and prepares to destroy Earth to save his home planet Cybertron. The transformation is particularly jarring because Optimus has always been the moral center of the entire Transformers universe. Watching him turn on his human allies and fellow Autobots is like watching your dad suddenly decide to rob banks for fun. The psychological impact on both the Autobots and human characters is absolutely devastating. I mean, how do you fight someone who taught you everything you know about honor and justice?
My staff, we will drain the very life from Unicron. Earth will die, and your world will be reborn.
Wanda Maximoff looked at the supposedly all-powerful Illuminati, and her expression alone said, "You know what? These cameos are lasting way too long for my taste." Wanda didn't need dialogue. Her systematic destruction of what was supposed to be the most powerful group in the multiverse is like watching someone speedrun a boss fight that everyone else struggles with for hours. Professor X, Mr. Fantastic, Captain Marvel, they're all supposed to be heavy hitters in their respective universes, but Wanda makes them look like they're still in tutorial mode. The scene surprises us by going against all expectations. We're introduced to these characters as the multiverse's greatest heroes, the last line of defense against cosmic threats, and then Wanda just ends them. No epic battles, no dramatic last stands, just efficient, brutal elimination.
Get the hell out of my universe!
I can't imagine a better person to have been given this power.
Netflix's live-action Avatar gave us something the original animated series only hinted at. What happens when the Avatar state isn't about balance and wisdom, but pure, unbridled rage that threatens to destroy everything in its path. When Aang discovers Gyatso's body, his grief doesn't just unlock his power, it unleashes something genuinely terrifying that makes you understand why people throughout history feared the Avatar. This isn't the calm, controlled Avatar state we're used to seeing in the animated series. This is primal fury given the power to literally reshape the world according to its whims. The way Aang's eyes glow with that cold, otherworldly light while he's basically having a cosmic temper tantrum is genuinely disturbing to witness. Aang isn't making conscious decisions here, he's just become a conduit for centuries of accumulated rage and grief from every precious avatar who ever lost someone they loved.
You are my friend. You will always be my friend.
Nothing says awkward family reunion like finding out your best friend's brainwashed alter ego murdered your other friend's parents in cold blood. The Winter Soldier reveal in Civil War is like discovering your roommate ate your leftovers, except instead of pizza, it's your entire family, and instead of being mildly annoyed, you went to murder them with an incredibly advanced metal suit. The brutality of the scene where Bucky kills Howard and Maria Stark is made even more devastating because we know it's not really Bucky doing it, it's Hydra's programming controlling his actions. But try explaining that nuance to Tony Stark, who just watched his parents get beaten to death by his teammate's metal arm. This isn't some external threat they can simply punch their way through. This is the kind of betrayal that permanently breaks friendships and completely shatters trust between people who once considered each other family. Pyro. The guy who went from mildly rebellious student with attitude problems to full-blown terrorist with a personal vendetta faster than you can say character development. His switch from the X-Men to Magneto's Brotherhood is like watching your college roommate join a cult, except the cult leader can control metal and has a deeply personal vendetta against all of humanity. What makes Pyro's turn so effective is how it demonstrates that sometimes heroes don't fall because of mind control or cosmic forces. Sometimes they just fall because they actively choose to. Pyro wasn't brainwashed, manipulated, or corrupted by external forces. He just decided that Magneto's approach made more logical sense than Xavier's peaceful methods. The fight between Pyro and Iceman is particularly brutal because these aren't just former teammates, they're former friends who trusted each other. Fire versus ice. Heat versus cold. Choosing destruction versus choosing protection. It's visual storytelling at its absolute finest. The Hulk has always been a double-edged sword for the Avengers. Incredible strength paired with genuinely uncontrollable rage. But in Age of Ultron, Scarlet Witch's mental manipulation turns Bruce Banner's alter ego into a city-destroying menace that puts thousands of innocent lives at serious risk. The Johannesburg rampage is particularly devastating because it shows just how easily the Hulk can be turned from protector to destroyer. Under Wanda's influence, the Hulk doesn't distinguish between friend and foe. He's just a force of pure destruction tearing through absolutely anything in his path.
Come on, Bruce, you gotta work with me.
Without Banner's consciousness providing some level of control, the Hulk becomes exactly what his harshest critics have always claimed he is. An uncontrollable monster who shouldn't be allowed to exist.
I'm sorry.
You'd think after The Last Stand, the X-Men franchise would have learnt their lesson about adapting the Dark Phoenix saga. But no, they decided to give it another shot, and honestly, this time they managed to make Jean Grey even more terrifying than before. It's like they took notes from the first attempt and said, you know what this needs? More cosmic horror and significantly less emotional depth. The 2019 version of Dark Phoenix doesn't just kill people, she erases them from existence while looking completely bored about the whole process. There's something particularly chilling about a character who can end lives with the same effort most people use to change TV channels. Sometimes the hero doesn't miraculously come back from the brink of destruction. Sometimes they just don't. The X-Men spend the entire movie desperately trying to save their friend, only to realize that their friend might be gone forever.
Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Miguel O'Hara is what happens when you take Spider-Man's responsibility complex and crank it up to 11 while removing all the fun-loving parts that make Spider-Man likable. This isn't your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. This is your overly controlling, borderline fascist Spider-Man who thinks the entire multiverse is his personal responsibility to micromanage. The genuinely terrifying thing about Miguel isn't that he's traditionally evil, is that he completely, genuinely believes he's saving everyone. He's willing to let innocent people die, to hunt down a teenager, to destroy entire realities, all because he thinks it's for the greater good of the multiverse. His chase scene with Miles is genuinely frightening because this isn't a villain pursuing a hero, this is a hero who's completely lost his way pursuing another hero who's just trying to do the right thing. The fact that Miguel has an entire army of spider people backing him up makes this situation even more disturbing.
The spider that gave you your powers wasn't from your dimension! It was never supposed to bite you!
You've never had to fight me.
But I've always wanted to.
Plot twist of the century. The real villain was the Superman knockoff that we made friends with along the way. Icarus spending the entire movie as the team's golden boy and moral compass, only to reveal he's been actively working against them the whole time, is like finding out your star employee has been embezzling money for years. Except instead of money, it's the entire human race. The absolute brilliance of Icarus as a villain is that he's not wrong from his own perspective. He's literally following his original programming, doing exactly what he was created to do thousands of years ago. The problem is that his programming involves letting Earth get completely destroyed so a new Celestial can be born from its core. Every heroic moment, every sacrifice he made, every time he seemed to genuinely care about humanity, it was all part of an elaborate lie he'd been maintaining for millennia.
Enough.
Poor Clint Barton. The guy brings a bow and arrow to fights with literal gods, aliens from outer space, and billionaires in incredibly advanced metal suits, and somehow still manages to be genuinely useful to the team. But in the Avengers, Loki turns our favorite Archer into something far more dangerous than his explosive arrows, a brainwashed assassin with inside knowledge of absolutely everything about S.H.I.E.L.D. Watching Hawkeye methodically hunt down his own teammates is like watching your favorite uncle suddenly decide that family dinner is actually a battle royale where only one person gets to leave alive. The brilliance of this storyline is how it demonstrates that heroes aren't just dangerous because of their superhuman powers, they're dangerous because of their knowledge, their access to classified information, and their deep personal relationships. Hawkeye doesn't become a threat because Loki made him physically stronger, he became a threat because he knows exactly where and how to hurt the people he once protected. Time travel is an incredibly tricky business, and apparently nobody bothered to tell Barry Allen that be careful what you wish for applies to speedsters too. The Flash gives us not just one, but multiple versions of Barry Allen, and spoiler alert, they're definitely not all winners in the heroism department. When Barry keeps failing to save his mother and fix the timeline, no matter how many times he tries, his younger self's future version snaps harder than a Breaking Bad fan when someone spoils the ending. The concept is absolutely brilliant in its simplicity. What happens when the hero, who can literally outrun time itself, realizes that something simply can't be fixed, no matter how fast you are or how many times you try? Answer: you get a three-way Flash fight that's more confusing than trying to explain the entire DC multiverse to your grandmother. What makes Dark Flash particularly terrifying is that he's not actually wrong about anything, he's just completely given up hope. He's the Barry Allen who stopped believing in better outcomes, and honestly, after watching this movie, we kind of understand why he reached that point. You know things are about to get absolutely wild when Doctor Strange, the guy who's supposed to be the responsible adult in the entire MCU, decides to crack open the most dangerous book in the multiverse like it's a casual weekend beach read. The Darkhold doesn't just corrupt people, it fundamentally transforms our Sorcerer Supreme into someone who's willing to risk literally everything for what he genuinely believes is the greater good. Remember that guy who was so obsessed with fixing his hands that he'd try absolutely anything, no matter how dangerous or potentially catastrophic? Well, congratulations, he's back with a vengeance. Except now, instead of just risking his own life, he's willing to risk the entire multiverse. Talk about character growth, am I right? The most genuinely chilling part isn't the creepy third eye or the way he casually manipulates reality like it's a video game, it's how easily he justifies every single terrible decision he makes. I'm not a monster, I'm just doing what needs to be done. Yeah, Steven, that's exactly what every villain in history says right before they destroy everything that matters. Before we had gritty, realistic superhero movies that took themselves super seriously, we had Superman 3, which decided to answer the age-old question, what if Superman? Yes, but an evil one. The answer apparently involves a lot of alcohol consumption, casual property damage, and what might be the most epic identity crisis ever captured on film. The artificial kryptonite doesn't kill Superman, oh no, that would be too easy. Instead, it just makes him a complete and utter jerk of cosmic proportions. We're talking about a guy who goes from saving innocent cats from trees to straightening the Leaning Tower of Pisa out of pure spite. Evil Superman is basically that friend who becomes absolutely insufferable after one drink. Except he can level entire cities with his breath. But here's where things get genuinely wild. The internal battle between good and evil Superman in the junkyard is legitimately one of the most creative and visually interesting superhero sequences ever filmed. The absolute best part? The evil Superman's biggest crime isn't destroying major cities or fighting other members of the Justice League, it's day drinking in public. Apparently, even back in the 1980s, public intoxication was considered more socially scandalous than casual property destruction. Different times, folks. Oh boy, where do we even begin with this absolute nightmare scenario? Jean Grey's transformation into the Dark Phoenix is like watching your sweet, gentle grandmother suddenly decide to burn down the entire neighborhood, except your grandmother doesn't have the power to disintegrate people with her mind while looking completely bored about it.
Let me in.
The moment when she literally disintegrates Professor X, the man who saved her life, taught her everything she knows, and believes in her when nobody else would, is one of the most shocking hero-turned-villain moments in all of superhero cinema. We're talking about a guy who dedicated his entire life to helping mutants find their place in the world, and his reward for decades of selfless service? Getting atomized by one of his own students like he's nothing more than an annoying fly. Talk about having a rough day at the office. Professor X isn't just taken down in some epic, dramatic battle where he gets to make a heroic last stand. He's just gone, poof, erased from existence like he never mattered at all. The real tragedy here isn't that Jean turns evil, it's that she becomes everything Professor X spent his entire life fighting against. She becomes the living, breathing weapon that proves every single anti-mutant activist's point about why mutants are dangerous and shouldn't be trusted. Okay, so picture this. You take one of the most powerful sorcerers in the entire universe and you turn him into an emotionally unstable dark wizard who literally eats mythical beasts for breakfast. Yeah, that's exactly what Marvel cooked up in this absolute masterpiece of psychological horror. In this twisted timeline, Dr. Stephen Strange doesn't just lose Christine Palmer, the love of his life, he loses his entire grip on reality. Her death becomes his personal Joker moment, except instead of going to therapy like a normal person would, Strange decides to break the fundamental laws of time, space, police, and probably several parking regulations, all in a desperate attempt to undo one absolute point in time. But here's where the universe decides to play the cruelest prank ever. Every single time he tries to save her, reality itself shuts him down harder than a Gen Z kid getting ghosted on social media. He absorbs the power of ancient dark entities like he's trying to collect them all. We're talking tentacled monsters, fire-breathing demons, horrors that would make Lovecraft himself need therapy. Strange consumes them all until he literally splits himself into two versions, the one that moved on and learned to live with loss, and the one that clearly never touched grass or learned healthy coping mechanisms. When these two versions finally clash in the ultimate battle of grief versus acceptance, it results in cosmic chaos and a completely destroyed universe. That's right, he didn't just lose his girl, he lost absolutely everything that mattered to anyone. Fast forward to 2021, and we get another Spider-Man dark moment that somehow manages to hit even harder than the first one. When Norman Osborn kills Aunt May, Peter Parker is consumed by a rage so pure and devastating that it threatens to destroy everything he's ever stood for as a hero. The moment where Peter prepares to deliver the killing blow with Goblin's own glider is particularly powerful because it shows us how loss can corrupt even the most morally grounded heroes. You can practically feel the entire audience holding their breath during this scene, knowing that if Peter crosses this line, there's absolutely no coming back from it. The weight of that moment is incredible. We're watching a character we've grown to love over multiple films, teetering on the edge of becoming the very thing he's always fought against. Only the intervention of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, with his wisdom earned through similar loss and pain, prevents Peter from becoming a murderer. It's a masterclass in how shared experience and hard-won wisdom can pull someone back from the brink of moral destruction.
Where am I?
And last, but by far the first for shock value, is none other than the most glorious, messiest, darkest side moment in superhero movies. Peter Parker's transformation into a symbiote. Yeah, we waited for the best. This wasn't just a new suit, this was Peter Unleashed. The sweet, gangly hero of Queens was nowhere to be found. In his place, we got a finger-gunning, ego-tripping menace who treated Mary Jane like a stranger and used criminals as emotional punching bags. And that street dance, cinematic gold. Half laughable, half cringe, half haunting. But beneath the memes lies something more. This version of Peter didn't snap overnight. The corruption inched in, one self-serving decision at a time, until he didn't even know himself anymore. It's a bitter reminder that sometimes the most frightening monsters aren't outside, they're on the inside, waiting to be fostered. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then check out this next one and comment below with your favourites.